Hello, everybody. We're back with another episode of DID. This one going to be a little bit different. This one's going to be talking more along the lines of fusion, integration, and what's the difference, and treatment in general of systems and what that means for some. Now, vocab-wise, I've seen different definitions for each word. A lot of people associate integration as alters, parts. I prefer the term parts as opposed to alters. So I'm going to probably be using more the word parts. However, integration, from what I have seen research-wise and reading different books, integration is actually more like a broad process of different treatments used in referring to the workings on the dissociative processes during treatment. So it's like, basically, it's like all the different treatment options that are used in treating it. EMDR treatment, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, things like that. It's that broad spectrum of options put into play to help treat a patient is what I've seen as integration is for a lot of doctors and researchers. Now, of course, terms can change. We changed it up a little bit for our system personally just because it just fit better. I'm not politically correct, but whatever. It's what we do. It works for us. Now, fusion is what a lot of people confuse integration for. Fusion is the point in time when two more parts will come together with complete loss of, as they say, separateness. So basically, it's what people consider integration today. Two parts fuse, interintegrate, and that's it. They can't come back out as one anymore. Now, for us, because of certain aspects of our system, fusion means something a little bit different. But that's beside the point. That's for a whole other story entirely. Now, final fusion is, scientifically speaking, refers to a point when a patient is what people would consider fully integrated. There are no more parts of self. Everyone has all come together and to be unified as that one single personality again. As I said, for us, we do things a little differently based on what we have going in our system. And I mean, you don't have to use these in politically correct form. If you want to, that's up to you. Like I said, we don't even use them politically correctly. We do them how we base of our systems. Now, treatment processes for DID and OSDD patients has changed significantly over the years. Originally, integration is what people know as integration today, or final fusion. Originally was like the ultimate go-to treatment for every system. But there was a problem with that. A lot of systems didn't want it. And because sometimes systems would be so massively huge or so difficult for that treatment to work, sometimes it was causing more problems than it was good for the patients, and just causing everything to just go flip completely backward. So things started changing. Therapists, psychologists, and doctors that do treat dissociative disorders started reworking how they work their treatments. Usually treatment will go in 3 phases. Now, the information that we have is mostly going to be from, it's called the ISSTD guidelines for treating dissociative identity disorder in adults. It's going to be on pages 195, 201, but this is from 2011, so it's several years old, and it's obviously been updated since then, I'm sure. But phase 1 for their treatment guidelines was safely establishing stabilization, and reducing symptoms. Usually during phase 1, if DID patients were admitted into clinics that treat it or work with it, doctors would either wean the patients off their medications, depending on what they were taking, or stop them altogether. Now, for us personally, we were on some medications, but as we started working some kinks out, things got a little easier. So eventually we started moving to more natural alternatives like teas, and mostly teas than anything else. I mean, there's also other treatment options like meditation, yoga, music, art therapy, which we do some of those too. But there's also medical marijuana, CBD oil, whatever works for you guys, do it. If you need to take medications, do it. Do what's going to help you and work for you. We're not saying anything against meds or anything else. And that is phase 1 is usually they'll do like the cooperative arrangement between parts, trying to get everybody to work and function in a way that's not going to be self-harming or damaging. Now, phase 2 is where you start getting into the nitty-gritty. Not a lot of systems are going to get past this just because of how many problems there can be and how difficult it is to probably treat those issues. And that's going to be confronting, working through, sometimes integrating traumatic memories or returning to phase 1 when needed, or. Now, again, as we're using integration as the term for using different treatment options to help deal with those issues. And of course, phase 3, integration, rehabilitation, to learning how to rework yourself as a single personality as opposed to multiples. Like I said, not many systems are going to reach that point. And now it's not even absolutely necessary. Just as long as they can get everybody to function normally, where it's not so chaotic, is great. Now, for us, personally, we are, I guess, what you would consider partially integrated system, where basically that means that we've gotten to where we have a more cooperative functioning system. Now, we do have some fusions in our system. We've had some between more full alters, and then we've had some with fragments, and we'll go into that a little bit later. But really, it's treatment and how things are going to work system to system is based exclusively on the system. There is no cookie cutter way of treating with this disorder because nobody is the same. Everybody's had different experiences. And of course, final fusion, complete integration. I think I've only met maybe 1 or 2 systems that have actually accomplished this, which to me is an amazing feat in itself. I mean, just because considering we're a polyfragmented system and we just have so many, I don't ever see that as a possibility for us personally. But we're okay with that. So it's just whatever works for you guys. And of course, final fusion is complete integration where everybody is one personality again. There is no separateness of parts anymore. Now, I could see where this would be a more stable outcome because then you don't have those clashing parts. Everything is more unified now. But again, is it necessary for treatment and for systems? No, absolutely not. Like I said, nobody is going to be the same. And a lot of systems don't even want it. Like, for us, we're just kind of like, whatever. If it happens, great. If not, whatever. We'll just work with it. Now, for us, and the way we use the vocabulary, to us, integration, we use it the scientific way, whereas it's just mostly the different types of treatment used to help that particular patient. To us, that's what integration means. Now, fusion for us is a little bit different, and final fusion is what we use in terms of what integration means to everybody else. Final fusion is where, for us, is when two alters become that new, I guess you could say, personality. And, but they're not able to come back apart. Fusion for us means that because we have some alters that do kind of do this, they fuse together, but they have a separateness of personality. They can come, and go as they please, so to speak. They don't stay permanently together. For example, on us, the two different examples that I'm about to give you is we had two alters they were more fragments with two different eating disorders. One was our bulimic fragment, Mackenzie. She was a very heavy emotional eater. Anytime any wave of depression would set her off, and she would just want to eat until she couldn't feel anymore, and then she would just pass out and fall asleep. That was how she liked to deal with things. And the other was Gabriana. She was an anorexic fragment. So, I mean, you can imagine when Mackenzie would get set off and start binging like crazy, Gabriana got set off and would just make us want to throw up everything we've just eaten. Now, I know that's getting a little bit personal, but that's what we want is to share personal experiences so people can understand that we know what that's like. So anybody with issues similar to those, we understand what that feels like, and we want people to be able to feel sorry, had to take a little break, something came up. Okay, anyway, I think we're talking about Gabriana and Mackenzie. But yeah, anyway, like I said, they were two fragments with two different issues. So what we ended up, helping them decide to do is that first told them, why don't you guys try fusing, see how that works. And if you guys like how it feels, if it's working for you guys, then why don't you just make it permanent? So that's what they ended up doing. So Mackenzie and Gabriana ended up becoming Brittany. And now they're more stable. We can eat and not feel like we're about to lose everything we just ate. Or we don't have periods where we'll just eat constantly so much for days on end to where we just won't eat anything for days on end. So sometimes integration or fusion can be helpful depending on the circumstances and depending on the system. Now, fusion between final fusion between fragments, a little bit different than as opposed to fusion with more three-dimensional alters, because three-dimensional alters hold more, whether it be memories, emotional experiences, and things like that. For us, we had an final fusion between two of our main fronters or hosts. And it was a very difficult process. And I am now the result of that fusion between Beth and Braxton. So, I mean, you guys can still call me Beth. I really don't care. That is the body's name. That's usually what we all go by, just to save time. But if you guys prefer to call me by my name, I go by Breath. It's kind of a mix between Braxton and Beth. And of course, there's some other deeper meanings for that name. But yeah, I am the result of a fusion between Beth and Braxton. Beth was more like a main hoster, and Braxton was more like the main protector, and sometimes would be a host if necessary. And like I said, the process in itself was just absolutely draining, almost to the point where it was just even painful because we both had been here for so many years. It was about 20 plus years worth of memories, emotions, and experiences mixing together. And like I said, this is my first time being out since the whole process, and I still feel exhausted. So it's a long drawn out process, but that can also, you know, show why integration is not exactly necessary, or more like why it can have damaging effects if you force alters to do it. Because it's not really so much the recuperation time, but if you were like us, we had no friends. Majority of our family were considered most of our abusers. And it's like, we are our family. That's all we have. So, you know, in a sense, I mean, no, you don't really die. You don't feel like either one anymore. It's more like you feel like a fusion of the both. You know, I mean, there's still parts of Braxton in there, and there's still parts of Beth in there, but there's no actual uniqueness to either or. You're both of them at the same time. And that's that can be a difficult transition to work yourself through, especially if you were trauma holders. There's no telling what you're going to have to end up working through and trying to get things figured out. Beth originally wore glasses. And I still have the stigmatism in my left eye, so I have to wear my glasses or I'll get dizzy. Braxton did not need glasses. And which is kind of odd, because Braxton himself was a final fusion between two other original hosters, Brent and Jackson. However, due to their own issues and circumstances, they ended up fusing to try to stabilize that. And eventually other things came up and Braxton fused with Beth. And now here I am. I'm actually if you want to get technical about it, the ending fusion between 3 parts. If you want to go under technicality. But that's all we really have on it. If there's something you guys think that we missed, or if there's something else you guys would like to learn about, we do have some other questions from commenters on our Instagram account. For those of you that don't know, we go under Headspace Connections in Instagram and Pinterest. We do have other social media accounts, we just don't really use them as much. So feel free to check us out. We have a System Art account on Instagram, and we have a intro account for us so that you guys could get to know us a little bit better. I hope this video was helpful. Like I said, comment down below your thoughts, opinions, suggestions, and we'll check them out and see what we can do for the next video. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys have a great day or night, whatever part of the world you're watching from. Bye.